Another edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 5 rounds of the magazine, fully loaded too, by the way, folks. Round number 1, the 82nd Airborne has some serious ground to catch, thanks to a Nebraska man who makes an elite unit look like a bunch of little babies, all swaddled up and ready for a little nap. Round number 2, the United Airlines CEO wants to cry into his first-class warm napkin because the military can't produce enough pilots for them to hire away at a high clip. Round 3, fuck around and find out the Filipino president is going to kick your fucking ass and shove a vaccine needle straight down that bitch if you don't get the vaccine. That dude does not mess around at all. We've talked a couple of Duarte stories before. He's still after it. He's still getting after it in the Philippines. He's just like, look, we got some high numbers. We're going to chase you down. I'll pull your pants down, stick a needle straight in your ass.
Is that a threat or a promise?
I know, right? People here are upset if you can't go to Ross without a mask. Like, fuck around and find out in the Philippines. You'll get a vaccine needle straight to the old testicle.
Oh yeah.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all.
Some people do.
Not.
Don't.
Yeah, I can't kink shame. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Don't shame. Round number 4, I sat down with 2 MMA fighters. One is a Marine who's the first woman ever to fight in the UFC octagon, and the other is a Minnesota reservist who is fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. I talked to both of those folks yesterday. They are fantastic people. Liz Carmouche is the lady's name. She is an absolute beast. I watched some of her fights. Well, both of them are. I mean, you don't fight for the heavyweight championship of the world by being a little pussy ass bitch. So Tim Johnson is awesome as well. Liz Carmouche, fascinating story. A little teaser. She started fighting pro 4 months after she started training mixed martial arts. Just 4 months.
Yeah, but does she have her green belt?
I think she was actually a McMap instructor trainer because we talked a little bit about McMap too. So
because I could take her with
you're a tan belt, right? Or
I don't like to brag.
You got out as gray? Is that where you got out? Gray?
I think I got green, but I cheated. So.
Oh yeah. Well, if you weren't cheating, you weren't trying there.
Exactly.
You guys didn't have a belt system in the Army, did you, Cons?
No, not at all. We just kind of did it, and that was that.
Half y'all did it.
Yeah.
Don't fucking lie to
just
me.
Just J. Crew belts in my off time with my loafers.
Yeah. You're too worried about finding fucking cowboy hats that fit in order to train. Unbelievable. Right? It is a nice Stetson though. And finally, round number 5, I have a surprise round for old Kate and Cons.
I love these.
They have no prep and no idea what the subject is going to be. I'm excited about that one. And all that today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Rocky Boots. Rocky Boots are saving my life around here, folks. We have had an absolute rattlesnake infestation around this bitch.
No.
Because, spoiler alert, May and early June here in San Antonio, it's the wettest month that it's been in over a decade. So snakes are all over the place. I was doing Barstool Confessions a couple of weeks ago with fights. I had to leave because my neighbor, this old lady, was knocking on the door and like, help, please. I need some help. I need some help from you. And I went out there. And I went out there. She was like, there's this rattlesnake on my back porch. I need you to come get it if you don't mind. If you don't mind, will you come get this rattlesnake? I went out there. I had to kill that fucking rattlesnake. And before I did it, luckily in my office, I had my Rocky Boots, slip those things on. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say that Rocky Boots saved my life, but I wasn't close to getting bit. But I have a feeling Rocky Boots would have saved my life.
Yeah. I don't think little snake teeth can get through them.
I'll say it for you. Rocky Boots saved your life.
Rocky Boots saved Chaps' life.
And luckily it was just a back porch. There's no window, so I was in no real danger being out there at all. But if you want to go to rockyboots.com to get some of the best boots in the biz, they got boots if you're in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, whatever. Even if you're a guardian and you don't wear Crocs, I think, do they wear Crocs or they wear boots? The Guardians?
They wear Crocs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There was a viral video that's going around of General Millie.
Millie. No, it's Millie. Millie.
What's wrong with you guys?
You say tomato,
we said it so
tomato.
wrong so many times. We never know what his actual name is.
It's Millie.
He threw in Guardians in there today whenever he was talking in front of Congress, like it was like he'd been doing it for years. And I was very impressed by that. His speech overall was very good, but more importantly, I was surprised that he threw in Guardians. Like it wasn't no thing at all. If you're a Guardian,
nothing should surprise you when it comes out of that guy's mouth. Anybody who's a double Ivy League guy, he's a Princeton and Columbia guy, I think. Nothing's gonna surprise me when it comes to speaking out loud with those guys.
And I know Kate doesn't like the tubby chain, but he could stand to lose a little
He
weight,
could,
right?
I'll
Yeah, but
even
you know
jump
what?
on that because that's punching up. That's a general. I don't mind just
Okay,
telling general to he's a fat.
But
Yeah.
he's also a Green Beret, so I wonder if he's one of those guys who just kind of carries his weight well.
Well, he is a Green Beret. I guess that's kind of like being a Marine. Once a Green Beret, always a Green Beret.
Always a Green Beret.
He ain't doing no fucking 3-mile hump in under 20 minutes right now. There's just
Maybe
no
not.
fucking way.
Maybe
That's
not.
just not happening. What's the highest ranking person you ever saw do a PFT or like a fitness test?
Probably a lieutenant colonel.
Oh, I see. I got to see when I was at Quantico, there was a major general that came out and did it with us. And he did the CFT. I was legitimately embarrassed for him. That's the reason why you don't go out and do that as that high ranking. Because if you're going to do it, like Sergeant Major Estrada, for example, there was the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. And whenever he came out and would do like a fun run, if it was a Sergeant Major's fun run, you knew you were going like 6-7 miles because Sergeant Major Estrada could do it. He could do it fine. He was in great shape. But once you're that high ranking of a person, if you know you're not like at least middle of the pack, high first class, like a 250, 260 guy or lady, you better stay your ass at home.
You better hide. You better hide. Right. Yeah.
I mean, because he had to carry, because you're supposed to do the combat fitness test where you carry somebody like firemen's carry and you run them 150 meters or whatever the fuck it is. You run them. This dude, you're supposed to do it with somebody within 10 pounds of you. He got the littlest Marine that was around, a little shit PFC, got that motherfucker, still struggled. And we are all like, General, what are you doing?
You know what I would do if I was an out of shape, a little bit overweight general in the military? I feel like at that rank, you can jump in on any units, PFT, CFT that you want, right? Like you don't have to go, you can just jump in on any one. I would find a Hollywood hottie with a smoking body. I would give him a uniform with my name on it, her a uniform with my name on it, and I would have her go and crush the CFT at some other unit.
I gotta say, this is the worst idea that we've had on the show.
Idea.
And like I mean,
and everyone be like, "Did
you don't
see
think
Colonel
people are gonna
Mannion?
not?
They don't know.
They're not gonna know who you
is?
are. They're not gonna know who the general
Some
is.
other unit.
Like, why is this general look like fucking Jessica Alba?
Kate's acting like there's generals just all bebopping around the place.
That's how the
there's so
legend
many
would
of them.
get started. People be like, "You heard about Colonel Mannion? Hot as shit, 400 PFT or whatever, man." Wow.
Now, I will say this. People don't really start to pay attention to who you are base to base until you're a general. Like if you're a colonel moving back and forth from base to base, you have some anonymity there. Like you're not going to know every colonel in the army. You're
That's
not going to know
saying.
every
Get a
colonel.
body double, but a hot one who can.
But the likelihood of somebody knowing who you are as a general is a lot higher.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Kate.
So what if you get promoted from colonel to brigadier general? You're going to the base and you're like, "Hey, Jessica Alba, why don't you go in?" And you check into base, you're Jessica Alba, you're wearing brigadier general chevrons, and people are like, "Holy shit, the new base general is going to motivate me," because they wouldn't talk about her appearance because that would be fucking sexist.
Right.
But if you want to get some Rocky boots, go to rockyboots.com and promo code ZBT. You're going to get 25% off, which is a fantastic deal. They have any kind of boots that you could possibly need. Again, that's rockyboots.com and the promo code ZBT. Catherine is not, if you're watching on YouTube, you can tell that she's not in her normal abode, which is the Hard Factor Studio / ZBT studio from time to time. Instead, she's at every condo in the world simultaneously, because we were talking before we started recording. Every condo looks exactly the same. Exactly. It's like they just go to the Hobby Lobby summer section, buy everything because it's 40% off, and just throw it into an apartment.
Yeah, I'm down in Sea Isle City, New Jersey, my annual family beach week. And this is definitely, we're on like you ever see those, what do they call them? Shotgun houses in New Orleans. They're long and skinny. And this is basically a shotgun house on the bay. It's like a trailer on the bay on stilts over the water, but it's just me and my parents here with the baby. And I live in the loft upstairs with the baby, and there's pelicans everywhere. You can tell the lady went to like a flea market and just picked out everything pelican. There's like old dusty ass seashells. It is every
Now, do you think the lady actually likes pelicans? Because it could be one of those situations where she's like 78 years old. somebody got her a Pelican whenever they were younger. She acted like she loved it. And next thing you know, she gets a Pelican every year for Christmas. I did that
I'll
with my
tell
mom with
you.
little spoons.
We stayed here last year, and there's twice the amount of pelicans this year than there was last year. So I think she maybe truly is into pelicans.
Maybe
Well,
the
what
guests
you need to
before
do-
you brought a pelican.
Right. Like, I think that should be a thing. You know, it's a Pelican house now.
Yeah.
Whenever you come back there for the 3rd year in a row, you have to bring the Pelican.
Yeah,
Mhm.
bring some more. It's a pelican, not a pelicant.
Or
my
instead of a
attitude.
Pelican, bring one of those dinosaur birds. I blogged about it a couple weeks ago that just looks
Yeah.
like an absolute menace.
Yeah.
Bring one of those things.
I know what you're talking about, but I have to tell you, this is my first time down the shore with the baby, obviously. And normally I'm pretty blacked out drunk every day down here. So it's been a very different change of pace. I haven't been drunk once yet. It's wild. So
As Cash had his first seaside cheese and mayonnaise hot warm sandwich inside some tinfoil that's been sitting there all day.
No, still not yet. I microwaved taquitos last night with nice warm mayonnaise-based Amish macaroni salad, and I plopped it on top of the
my
taquitos
God,
with the taco sauce on it. I kind of stirred it all together. It was fantastic.
that's an absolute abomination to the
I
Lord,
doubt
by the way.
it was fantastic.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's Wednesday that we're recording this. I haven't been drunk yet, and I have not made it to the beach yet. So
Going to the beach with a
Oh,
baby
man.
that size is just such a production, and it's not even worth it. You get there, you set everything up. Our producer Nick was telling us one of the first times he went with his baby. You go there, you set the tent up, you set the umbrella up, you get it all nice, and then by the time you do all that, it's time to get off the beach and go home. So what's the point?
My wife's feet didn't even hit the sand.
yeah,
Only my feet, and we walk right back home, right back to the car.
yeah.
Going
So it's
to the beach with the baby is the absolute worst thing you could do in the
Yeah.
world.
There's so many
It's just
crevices
terrible.
to get sandy. Yeah, it's
And then
tough.
it's a million trips. We went on a family vacation to go visit my mother-in-law in Pensacola, and it was the first time that we had taken McCartney to the beach. I must have made 15 trips back to the car, and
Nightmare
I'm a
fuel.
one-trip guy.
Mhm.
I had chairs draped on me. I looked like one of those fucking camels at a bazaar in Egypt, going back and forth. My mother-in-law didn't carry a single thing.
hmm
Not a single thing. My wife
Mhm.
clearly had the baby. Kelsey was carrying everything that she possibly could, but she was like 8 or 9 years old at the time. I'm just walking back. By the time we get there and I'm set up, it's almost time to go. It's
Yeah.
almost time to go back because you got to load all that stuff. You got to get all the sand out. The baby is going to be crying. How do you feed the baby on the beach without getting sand? Terrible. Just
Yeah.
a terrible situation.
I'm
Mm.
just sitting back here. So we're right on the bay, and so there's an inlet right here, so all the boats go by. And there's tiki boats this year, which are just floating bars with like bachelorette parties on them going by. And I'm just sitting back there with that. And either side of us on this bay is like all mansions, and then we're this teeny trailer on it sticks out like a sore thumb. All day long, I sit out there, and boats go by, and they go, "Oh, look at the little one! Oh, look at the tiny house! Oh," everyone's like making fun of it, and I'm like, "We're doing fine, thanks. We're doing just
We're having a
fine.
great time.
We're having a
You don't
great
even
time.
know.
You don't know us.
Now
Yeah.
you're not even invited to party pegs.
Yeah, forget
Parmesan
it.
night.
No chicken parm night." Well, she has been popping in quite a lot, so that's a delight too. But anyways, it's been great to see family though. If you have a baby and go to the beach, just go with zero expectations, and you won't be disappointed. Just
Ash
Yeah.
having a good time though.
yeah, it's great. I was sitting up here in my loft last night, and I'm like trying to feed him, and my family's all down there visiting, having a good time, and I was happy just being around people having a good time.
I want
So
to let
like,
you enjoy your
Yeah,
vacation.
I want to watch you. I was like kept peeking over and like chiming in from up here. I'm like, "Oh, good one, Aunt Helen."
Mm.
So yeah, so no, I'm having a nice time. It's just nice to be in a different scene after being with the baby in the apartment for so long. I'm like, oh my god, a change of scenery.
Yeah,
What a
I
treat.
mean, you don't have a small apartment by any stretch, and you got the nice outdoor balcony. But I'm sure those walls
Now,
could feel-
quarantine Kate definitely
yeah,
did.
quarantine cape. But I'm talking about
That shit
now.
was a shoebox.
By the way,
I feel like
this,
those walls probably feel like they're closing in on you at some point.
this is where it went down, folks.
The scene of the old crime, they
This is the
say.
scene of the crime, and now
This is where the old magic happened.
Anyway,
Wow.
what's up with you guys?
So this is it's interesting how you go through life, and sometimes when you're not even expecting it, you get extremely humbled and brought back down to earth.
Like
So I
every
was-
time Chaps and I shit on you.
No, I'm just used to that. I'm like
Oh, okay.
Teflon. That just kind of like
Okay.
doesn't stick to me anymore. But I was playing golf last Friday, and we're
What's your
playing-
hat say?
Yes. Oh,
Oh
actually,
yeah. Wait, what sport were you playing?
you can get this hat at store.barstoolsports.com. Great hat. I was
along with the shirt too.
brand new shirt with our mascot.
But for real, if you're just listening to the pod, the new ZBT shirts are fire.
Yeah, they're so
Fire.
cute. And
You need to
we're
go get
working on, I think hopefully by next episode, we will all collectively decide on a nickname for our mascot, because I realized we don't have a name for him.
The pirate dog. Yeah.
Oh, and Chaps has got one of the other ones on. It's great. But two things. Number one, I was wearing this hat on the driving range right before my round, and this dude comes up, classic dad joke, and he goes, I should just say hat on the back. Really just complete it. And I was like, yeah, good one.
Did like that. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'd wear a golf hat.
Yeah. Actually, I like that. Yeah.
But so anyway,
by Riggs.
We're playing with these, me and my buddy Liam, we're playing with these two people. And one of the guys is a member at the club. Come to find out, he's my age and he's retired. So that really put me in my seat.
Like, was he like a tech guy?
Yeah, he created something and then sold something. So now he's working kind of just as a way to stay busy. He's married. He's
a Walmart greeter now.
All right, let's have this question. You wake up tomorrow, there's $3 billion in your account.
Only 3?
What do you do for the rest of your life so that you don't have to work?
Wow, I do a lot. Number one, I go back, I get a coaching job, coaching football in high school level somewhere. I play a lot of golf. I get a building named after me at my school, because that seems to be what the billionaires do at my place. And then I just enjoy my time with Alex, and we travel, and I got a lot to do, man. I got a lot of hobbies, so I don't think I'd be short on stuff to do.
That you'd stay with your fiance. It's pretty.
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely.
Yeah. There's no way.
It shows there was a thought that maybe. Yeah.
I tell you what, there's no way I find any other girl who will put up with me in all of my
that's
shit.
absolutely true. Yeah,
No, I got me. To her.
If I had that much money, I would buy a house like it, probably Tennessee, honestly, like where it's a legit 4 seasons. That on a lake, and I would turn into real life Ace Ventura, where I open up my apartment and there's just birds and animals everywhere, and I'd just be hanging out. I'd have 2 houses, 1 animal house and 1 regular house. So then just if I need to pick me up, because if you had like a house full of trained animals that just love to see you, you would no longer need any type of antidepressant. That's all you would need. Yeah. I mean, it's so hard even when Baby Dale Woohoo and Gus, if I go to Lowe's and I come back and I've been gone for like an hour and a half, they act like Jesus Christ has returned. They're just like, holy shit, Dad's back. This is incredible. If you put that on times like 50, you'd never have a bad day again. And I'd have like an animal sanctuary.
I like that.
What about you, Catherine?
If I had $1 billion,
two chicks at the same
time. Oh,
that's why I didn't have that number. Yeah, that's why I didn't do that number. I have a feeling Nick would try to buy like the WWE or Tony Khan's new wrestling promotion.
It's about right. Yeah, probably that.
Wrestling museum.
Or sports team, I think. I think that's where it would go. Or I could just
I would love to own a sports team. That would be really fun. Like, but not like I wouldn't want to own a sports team where I have to pay the players like $250 million over the course of 5 years, because your $3 billion could go very fast if you're paying that much money. I would prefer I would own a team in like New Zealand. And so I could have all the fun of owning a team, all the competitive shit, but not have to pay people millions and millions and millions of dollars.
That'd be an interesting way to spend that money.
Also, I'd eat all my soft serve ice cream out of tiny little plastic baseball hats.
That's definitely fun.
When they bring it to you in a regular call and you throw it like,
get it. What the
again. I'm surprised none of you talked about what we have in our first round, which is
before we get that, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to say one more thing before we get started. Chaps, you're starting to dress better, and it's scaring me that we're losing you. We're losing the essence that is Chaps. Your shirt's been tucked in the last few times I've seen you. You're looking presentable. You've obviously talked about the weight you've lost. So you're looking better in your clothes.
He's stunting on everyone.
Look, this is not because I want to look nice. This is because a majority of my shirts are extra larges. And so when I put it on, it looks like I'm a fucking 8-year-old in my dad's shirt to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like I just took a nice bath and now I'm ready for bed because I'm all tuckered out. So I have to, like, my polo shirts are all extra larges, so they're just too big. So I have to tuck them in to look remotely presentable. And that one that we went out, it was for Kelsey's 16th birthday, and she asked me not to look like a ragamuffin. So
Fair enough.
Your daughter said that verbatim, ragamuffin?
Yeah,
Ragamuffin.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I love
well,
that,
that's because that's
Kelsey.
what I say to her. Like when we're doing stuff, I'm like, well, why don't you just actually go get dressed? You look like a ragamuffin.
Yeah, that's fair, man. It's important to look
tables have
presentable.
turned.
Yeah.
Tables
yeah.
Yeah, she's
turn.
like, Dad, I'm going out with my friends and they're coming out to eat with us. We're having a nice night at a steakhouse. Can you not look like a ragamuffin? Oh, and by the way, shout out Kelsey, got our first job.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, so she turned 16 years old, and we were like, you need to find a job. I'll take you to any of the places that I told her, any spot around here within 10 miles.
Mhm.
I'll take you there anytime you want to go apply. And she was like, okay, cool. She loves boba tea, like always wants to have it. I hate it. I think it's weird, like chunky stuff in a normal liquid. I can drink chunky, I can drink liquid. I cannot mix them together. She loves boba tea. There's a spot that's, I mean, it's like 2 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to go work there. They called her this morning, offered her the job. She was like, yes, I'll take
Woohoo.
it. I said, how much do you get paid? She was like, I don't know. I said, what are your hours? She's like, I don't know. I was like, when's the first time you have to show up? I don't
That was
know.
like me with
What-
Barstool. I was like, I don't know, but I'll work here for sure. Yes.
and
yes.
I had to help you too. I'll get her through.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
you did. You're like, you gotta ask what you make.
I was like, do you know what
"Oh."
documentation you need? She was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I was like birth certificate, social security card, learner's permit, any of that, just to verify who you are. She was like, oh, I didn't ask any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like she didn't ask anything at all.
Yeah.
And she was like, should I call him back? I was like, well, you just got off the phone like 45 seconds ago. Let's give it a little while.
Yeah.
Let's give it, we'll call him back tomorrow. So
Let
you're
it
not, like,
marinate.
being
Yeah.
super annoying. Like, hey, I'm actually really responsible. But honestly, a little bit on the manager. You gotta let her know. what's going
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
there.
I would agree. You'd say like, hey, we're going to come back to you and we're going to need this information and these documents tomorrow or
But I
this week or something.
cannot wait to go get boba tea when she's working.
I
Cannot
know. I want to
wait.
travel down there just to get some. Just
Mhm.
I know. I told I said, I think this is a place that takes tips. I was like, maybe I should tweet out that this is where she's working. And my wife was like, have you lost your
yeah.
fucking
Have you
mind?
lost your mind?
Like,
I
why
can't
in
wait
the
to
world
see,
would
though.
you do that?
You have to record her face when you walk through the door because I know it's gonna be like,
Oh, yeah.
God.
It's just going to be so many. I mean, there's going to be so many things because there's this huge, this is going to make me sound like white trash, but I'm willing to risk it. There's this huge dumpster that's behind this boba tea place. And it's the dumpster that I use when I
I
have
was just gonna
stuff-
say, why do you know that?
because I have to like put big cardboard boxes because my new HOA is essentially filled with nothing but communists.
Oh, okay,
and-
that's where I illegally dump my stuff.
Yes, it is. And they constantly, if you have one box that's out of the trash can, you get fined.
So you're
And
going to be
so-
sending Kelsey to work with like a box tucked under her arm. Hey, get rid of this while you're at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
10,000%
Right.
yes. I mean, it's really unfair to find somebody for that. Me and my wife both work from home. We get boxes all the time. Only having one trash can full of boxes.
Don't you have a fire pit in your house though?
Yeah, I do, but it's so dry here a lot of times that you
Yeah,
have burn
can't be
restrictions a
burning.
lot.
I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of boxes. You could just burn those.
Well, you know what
Yeah.
probably really burns?
Rope burn whenever you're parachuting naked, right, Kate?
Whew, yeah, 200-mile wind on your dingling. I bet that
Yeah.
that's a spicy
And that's
meatball.
what before we really get, actually just go ahead and introduce the story. What's it about, Kate?
It's about naked skydiving, to sum it up pretty quickly here. So a
love a
Nebraska
quick summary.
man, nude skydiving. A Nebraska, have either of you ever gone skydiving?
No, I want to though. So if anybody wants to take me, I want to do that. We're talking. I had some discussions with the Army's Golden Knights about doing that. I'd like to do that, and for the love of God, so I can stop asking somebody take me up in a jet, please,
Mhm.
for the love of Christ.
Yes.
Take me in a ride. In
I'd
an
love to do a
F-18.
helicopter too.
Oh,
Like, if we-
so yeah, I would do that.
Cockpit
Too.
in a helicopter zooming through like the Grand Canyon. Love to do that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, a Nebraska man, I never have either. A Nebraska man set a new world record by completing 60 skydiving jumps in 24 hours while dressed in nothing but his safety equipment, Rian Kanouf of Omaha said he contacted Guinness World Records about setting the record for the most naked skydiving jumps in 24 hours, and the group said he could create a new category if he performed at least 25 jumps in the time period. Kanouf said it's an informal tradition for skydivers to perform their 100th jump in the nude, and he came up with the idea to set the naked skydiving world record as a fundraiser for mental health charity after the death of a recent friend. My friend that we lost to mental health issues was about that close to his 100th jump, Kanouf said, close enough that he talked about it all the time, and he didn't get to make it. So I'm out here for him and a lot of other people that we lost. Kanouf ended his attempt with 60 completed naked jumps over Weeping Water, Nebraska. His attempt raised money for the Movember Foundation. As we all know, men's mental health and suicide prevention is part of that charity. So I am just thinking, I've seen pictures of people's faces when they jump, and it's like your face becomes liquid, becomes water. What happens? I've seen a flaccid penis flapping around just in
And
regular
it's not
times.
great. Just a
Well,
it's
normal
not.
look of a flaccid penis is
Not
it's
great.
unbecoming.
Consider the elevation. I'd imagine it's much colder, even in a warm climate. So it's much
Yes,
colder. So I
mhm,
think
mhm.
everything's probably more compact. So it's not as much flapping around as you might think.
It probably does grow like one of those fireworks snakes. Like you jump out and it's all shriveled and then it gets warmed up and it starts to grow a little bit. But I mean, I would think you're really running the risk of testicular torsion, I would say, because
Yes.
your dickhead could absolutely get so much speed and so much strength and whipping action. If your penis head comes around and flicks you in the ball at 200 miles an hour, then you're throwing up. You're throwing up naked in the air, dropping down like a stone.
Well, I'd be worried about helicoptering. If
Oh,
that
yeah.
thing starts spinning, a
You
human can
end
spin
up
out
back
of
in the
control.
propeller of the plane.
Right. What if it starts spinning so fast that you actually start going back up again? And then you're
You're
stuck
like a
up in the
top.
air. Right. You're like a top and you're stuck up there forever, So I don't know. Yeah.
I would. Do you think we could have? Do you think it'd be possible to jump from a plane, beat off, and nut before you landed on the ground?
Do you
No,
think anyone's ever done it?
I'm
I would
saying
love
no.
to see someone try. I think that's what Chef Donnie should do next for Die Trying.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he loves to
Absolutely.
jump out
Sure.
of planes. Like, I would love to see the attempt because it would be so much in your head. I would think you would have to jump already just like extremely horny. Like you've been watching porn for a long time before you get up there. It would be a sight to see. If you put that on pay-per-view, like say you did OnlyFans, like if you were Lisa Ann and you did an OnlyFans, I guess it wouldn't work for Lisa Ann. You did Owen Gray. Owen Gray has an OnlyFans and he's like, on my OnlyFans, I'm going to attempt to be the first person to nut midair during a skydive. You would shatter records of people who would want to watch the live stream of that.
I would bet you money right now. I'll bet, Chaps, I'm betting you $20 right now. I know in my heart, like I know it for a fact, just off. There has been in skydiving midair.
And by that little squeaky, do you mean sex?
Yes. I'm in a loft with no door and my family does it.
Okay. All right. They listen to the show though.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, you're right. But
I mean, you just talked about banging your
Yeah,
baby's
you
daddy.
just talked about where you
Touche.
conceived your child.
Touche.
They are
All right.
aware that you are a sex advocate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very irresponsible.
But I gotta Google it whenever we're done. I want to see, and we'll include that full length porn in the YouTube.
Right.
So make sure
yeah,
you go
please.
check that
Mhm,
out.
absolutely. But I know somebody had to have for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if not, they're going to very soon, and they should give us some money for that, and we could use it for cross country mortgage because we want a little bit of good solid mortgage with escrow and all that kind of stuff. Cross country mortgage is like most of us at Barstool. It's a people first organization. They're dedicated to the fundamentals of mortgage lending, which results in a fast, convenient, and less stressful home financing and refinancing experience. The rates are unbelievably low right now. That is true. If you were thinking about buying a home, you better do it in the next year and a half because those interest rates are going to go way up. And I don't think this is some staff NCO advice. People don't realize the difference the interest rates make whenever you're talking about a house.
Oh,
For
yeah.
instance, the difference between when I bought my first house in San Antonio, My first house was around $250,000, and the interest rate was not what it is right now. My second house is a little bit more than double of my first house, and my payment is only about $400 difference because of the interest rate difference, which is insanity. Like over the long term, a house that cost you 205,000, or in 2005 that cost you $300,000, you could pay the same mortgage payment now on a house that is like $475,000. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The difference that kind of stuff makes. But you'll find out more information about stuff like that if you go with Cross Country Mortgage, because the rates are at an all-time low. You need to call them today for a fast, free quote, and their partners are going to save you a lot of money. Call today, and our friends at Cross Country Mortgage will give you a free home valuation that is free just for calling. Just like an all-star athlete, Cross Country Mortgage pushes themselves through the entire lending process. If they get blocks, they'll figure out a way to get the ball over the line. Don't miss the windows, as rates are going to creep up, and reach out to somebody and see what they could do for you. You're going to connect with Cross Country Mortgage. Tell them that Barstool sent you. Tell them that we sent you. Go to crosscountrymortgage.com/Barstool to learn more about your future home buying experience or refinance your current mortgage. And they also will help you if you've never used your VA loan. They'll also walk you through how to do that, because that's a complicated process. It shouldn't be, but it is. And these people are the experts. They'll know how to do that as well.
You got to use that VA loan. I don't know. I've heard of so many people, whether active duty or veterans, who never took advantage of that. And I just shake my head and wonder, what are you even thinking? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that?
Every single thing that's VA, you should take advantage of, whether it's the VA
Absolutely.
disability rate, whether it's the GI Bill. It's a legit entitlement. We've made that a dirty word somehow, but it's something that you are entitled to because it's something that you did. Entitlement should not be a dirty word. You're entitled to it because you did something in order to get it. Let's move on to round number 2. This one comes to us from United Airlines. I fly United, and the commercial airline industry has lured experienced pilots away from the U.S. military for decades with the promise of better paying a job and never have to fly a desk. The new CEO of a major airline is saying that a pilot shortage might be on the horizon. And if not, it might even be here already. It's due to the military not producing enough pilots when they can siphon away to the private sector. While answering a question to the United Aviate Academy. What a stupid name that is.
Yeah,
Aviate?
really. Maybe your crummy name for your academy is the reason you're having trouble luring pilots into your ranks.
Yeah. How about just name it the United Aviation Academy, you dummies? The Aviate
Aviate.
Academy. Oh, we're the Aviates. That's why people fucking hate pilots. Just explain the way a plane flies. Try that. Maybe that'll get people in the door. United Airlines training program for future pilots. Scott Kirby, the CEO of United, suggested that the military was to blame for the limited pool of pilots available to the airline. Down the road, there's probably going to be a pilot shortage here in the United States. The military produces far fewer pilots than they did in Vietnam in the Cold War era, and it's hard to become a pilot, a commercial airline pilot on your own if you're not going through the military. I had never really thought about that, but it's true. Like when you go to flight school, you're usually flying little prop planes. Like you're not flying a fucking C-130 that's rolling down the strip. They're here to take K9 Daddy for a little trip. You're not doing any of that stuff.
No,
You're not flying a C7 or a C5. You're flying a little tiny plane. So in order for you to go to I have several friends who were pilots, and now that they work in airlines, they make good damn money too doing.
Paul, at the very end of this, I'll tell you, I looked up what commercial airline pilots make compared to military pilots.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Okay. I would say they start out at $210,000 a year.
Oh my God. No.
No, they don't, but they
Oh?
do pretty well. Yeah, no. It's actually pretty less than you think. It's less than you think.
It's barely $100,000, which I'm not shaking a stick at.
Well,
I think, right?
Airline pilots, co-pilots, and flight engineers, the median annual wage for an experienced one is about $150,000. So that's not too shabby.
But that's including the flight engineer who's not a pilot. I imagine if you
Right.
knock them off that, because that's an enlisted person's job. I would
Yeah.
imagine if you knocked that off, it would be higher.
Well, so to compare it to the military, an average military, say a jet salary for a jet pilot, $90,000 a year. So you could be making $150,000 compared to $90,000. Of course, you're going to do your time in the military, and then you're going to get the hell out of
And
there.
you only work half the days of the month.
Right. So that's probably the plan. A lot of people who are pilots probably serve in the military specifically to do their time and then head off to the So
I mean,
yeah.
we talked to people at the Air Force Academy that were talking about that, like not even done with the Air Force Academy. Like, what are you going to do when you're done? Oh, I'm definitely going to be an airline pilot. Like
Yeah.
you get to travel the world legitimately. And once you get some seniority, you could really fly. Like if you do the international flights, some of those fellas and ladies they'll only work 10 days a month.
Yeah. And I'll say it. These planes these days, they fly themselves. So
Yeah.
just get it up
You're
there.
essentially a truck driver in the sky. That's
Yeah,
all you
we're
are.
not impressed.
You don't got to
We're
worry
not
about traffic.
And
Like,
realistically, it's probably harder to drive a fucking big rig.
Yeah,
Because you're not
absolutely.
having my dumbass daughter who's learned how to drive driving next to you in the sky.
exactly.
Everybody up there knows what
Right.
they're doing.
Right.
For the 23-year-old Kate still would,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but it isn't that cool.
We got a comment on one of your posts that said 23-year-old Kate was a hoe.
And how? Oh boy, like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, we don't hoe shame though. But
Oh,
I got a feeling that the military does not give a fuck about what the airline says, because conversely, they are saying, look, we are having problems keeping people in. Like, we don't want to train more people because we want our people to stay in.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why they're trying to have all kinds of huge bonuses and things like that for the pilots too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess it was newsworthy because everybody's like always kind of known that the commercial airlines siphon and steal away pilots from the military, but like it's just was one of those unspoken, you don't say it out loud. And for this airline CEO to be like, oh yeah, we take them right from the military. No shit. It's like I feel like that was kind of like a no that he said it out loud, sort of.
And also, why don't you have something in place where you can train your own people? Every other business does that.
Well,
Like,
because
you don't
it's-
just go get cops from the military. Like,
That's
you have your own
true.
training academy.
that's true. I think probably because the expense of training people, it's a lot less expensive if you can just pull somebody in and you don't have to start them at day one piloty stuff. You could
Well,
start them
we could change it, right, Cons? I mean, you could change the way that you do this. It's the same thing as being an electrician. You could go
Mhm.
be an apprentice with the electrician and just hang out. You could even do that as an attorney in Texas. Did you know that?
What's that?
You don't have to go to law school in Texas.
What?
You can do a apprenticeship with another attorney. You can practice law. Like, you could do all kinds of stuff. The only thing that you can't do is go before a jury. Every other type of amicus brief and all those other things you can put in. All you have to do is be an apprentice and pass the test.
And
They should do that with.
You
So
should
wait,
do that
with
for
electricians,
content,
too.
Chaps. You should become a lawyer in Texas.
I'm not nearly smart enough for that shit. My memory's fucked. They'd be
you
like,
still
"What
have to
do you-"
pass. You
well,
still have to
what's
pass
this
the
law?
bar though.
I don't know. No, like, you don't have to pass the bar. There's a separate type of bar because you're not an actual practicing attorney. Essentially what it is, you know what it is? It's like the warrant officer program for the lawyers. Like,
Okay.
a warrant officer can't be in command. Like, you're
Mhm.
never going to be in command of anything unless you get a waiver, but you're not going to be a commanding officer if you're a warrant officer, but you still have all the rights of a commissioned officer.
Interesting. I didn't know that this was actually a thing. Sounds like
And
a.
Kardashian was trying to do it in California.
Oh, right. It sounds like it's like a glorified paralegal almost, because you're more
Yeah,
than a
I guess
paralegal,
it-
but less than a lawyer.
Yeah, I don't know if paralegals will appreciate that, but
No, I'm
I
sorry.
can see what you're trying to get at there
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh man,
All right.
I'm gonna have the paralegals coming at
Yeah.
me.
More
My
like,
bad.
no, paralegal Twitter, dude. Forget it.
Oh, that's a strong.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Kate still has some volunteer firefighters that she's
Hey,
dealing with.
Okay. all
Question
right.
though for Kate, hold on, Cons. 23-year-old Kate, she's a volunteer firefighter at a bar.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Even 23-year-old Kate had standards. Come on. Forget it.
yes.
Forget
Indeed.
it.
All right.
My cousin's kid was over here the other day, and I'm like, oh, what are you up to now? He's in 11th grade. And he's like, oh, volunteer firefighting now, blah, blah, blah. And I was
No.
like, oh. Oh.
All right.
It's
Anyway.
such a weird beef to have.
It really
Yeah.
is. It's a weird,
I
I
weird
was like,
hill.
you need to get out. You need to get the fuck out.
What if you were serious though? If you're like,
No,
Ryan,
get out right
get
now.
the fuck out of here.
All right, yeah, you're gonna have to leave.
What are you talking about?
Get
No,
out of the
no, I'm
loft.
serious.
You're not
Yeah,
welcome in the
no.
loft.
No, it's not a joke.
All right, what are you gonna say, Conti? You
I
remember?
was just gonna say, if you had to pick an airline to fly for, what are you picking?
Oh,
Spirit
probably
for sure.
Virgin.
I think
Airlines.
Virgin's a very good answer, Chaps. Spirit, that's in line with.
Somewhere
I've never
where the bar is
flown on
low.
Virgin. I'd love to. Those pink lights that they have to set
Mm.
the ambience, just absolutely beautiful.
I feel like Spirit, I could roll up in leggings and be like, I forgot my pilot pants, and they'd be like,
I feel like you could do it
"Don't
today."
Get in there, whatever.
I
we
think if
don't-
you just showed up and told them that you're a pilot for Spirit, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that checks
Yeah,
out."
sure.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah, absolutely.
I could roll up there on my yellow truck, get into the yellow plane, and get ready to roll out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way to go.
All right, let's
Yeah.
move on to round number 3. This will be quick. This dude, the Filipino president, is just absolutely a wild card. What do we got for round number 3, Kate?
The Philippine president has threatened to order the arrest of Filipinos who refuse COVID-19 vaccination and told them to leave the country if they would not cooperate with efforts to contain the pandemic.
Get out of here.
Yeah, President Roger. It was like a volunteer firefighter in Kate's beach house. You need to get out.
Get
President Rodrigo Duterte, who is known for his public outbursts and brash rhetoric, said in televised remarks that he has become exasperated with people refusing to get immunized.
What's that word? I'm sorry. What?
Immunized.
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 Immunized. Immunized.
Yep.
Immunized. Anyway,
No.
No, keep going. Figure it out. Talk through it. Sound it
immunized is
out.
not a word. Immunized is not a word, is it? Immunized.
Immunized. Yep.
Whoa, holy shit, my
Mhm.
brain's just not allowing that to be.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Hey, you're on beach time. It's fine.
I'm on beach time. There's no such thing. He said, don't get me wrong. There is a crisis being faced in this country. There is a national emergency. If you don't want to get vaccinated, I'll have you arrested and I'll personally inject the vaccine in your butt
That's a great
With
quote.
my spit.
with my spit. Yeah. I
I'll
will,
spit the vaccine into your gaping butthole like
while
you
we're
are.
skydiving.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would be something. He goes on to say, if you will not agree to get vaccinated, leave the Philippines. Go to India if you want to, or somewhere else. Go to America.
I like that.
That's
I
a little
stopped
veiled.
reading
That's a
the
little
story.
veiled shot
I
of
stopped
America
reading
there.
the story and blanked out because I was imagining the scene of the midair butt injection. Anyway.
Oh.
A human rights lawyer raised concern over the president's threat, saying that the president cannot order the arrest of anyone who has not clearly committed a crime. Apparently, she's not paying attention to what happens in the Philippines because
Not great.
the Human Rights Watch disagrees. They say the government's drug war continued in 2019 with new cases appearing in the media daily. And the modus operandi for the killings involved police raiding homes and apprehending alleged drug dealers or users who, instead of being taken into custody, would be reported dead, with the police claiming self-defense. Human Rights Watch has documented the police planting weapons near suspects and bodies to justify their use of lethal force. The Philippine National Police reported that 5,526 suspects were killed in police operations from July 1st, 2016 to June 30th of 2019. This number does not include the thousands of those whom unidentified gunmen killed in cases that police did not seriously investigate, pushing that death toll high as 27,000. So I'm going to disagree with that lady and say
Yeah,
that
not great.
they definitely can arrest you.
Also, weird move to be like, well, clearly people aren't getting vaccinated because there's public hesitancy over like what does the vaccine do? But instead of like a public information campaign, he's like, no, we're not doing an information campaign. I'm going straight for their buttholes.
But
You
in,
know,
rea-
that's-
but in reality, I hate to side with the Philippine president. I feel like I'm going to have to side with him, Kate, like, because not that you're going to be forced injection, but even like the public campaigns where you're going to give out public information and all that shit, it's readily available. You just
Yeah.
rather read it from the Facebook comments. You
Yeah.
just rather go to your local news section and read it and be like, oh, well, shit, this dude on YouTube, Joe Biden sucks for 2069, says that this is going to make me magnetic.
It is weird that he's
That
worried
is my
about.
favorite. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. I'm sorry. That is
Yeah.
my favorite fallout from this vaccine, that it makes you magnetic and that metal
Yeah.
spoons will stick to you. Those people, bless their hearts, or maybe not bless
Invested
their hearts.
billions
but-
of dollars to make people magnetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. and who knows why yet? But it's crazy.
I
I
like,
mean,
the
you should just
Philippines-
watch John Travolta's hit classic Powder.
True.
No, it wasn't Powder.
was it?
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. But Powder was also
Powder's
very,
a different movie.
Yeah.
That
he
dude from
also-
Powder, legitimately hot, right?
Yeah.
Like if you put
23-year-old
some,
Kate, forget it.
yeah, you put some 23-year-old Kate see some fella standing in a mud ditch with spoons attached to him, he's getting the business.
Absolutely. I'm gonna look like I
Hey.
spent the night in a box of powdered donuts. I'm gonna
I don't think it rubs off. It's not, well, I can't say that. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has dandruff.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
That's
It's
good.
hard to have dandruff if you legit had no hair. You feel like the lotion could get
No,
right on.
you haven't seen my dad.
All right, so let's move on to round number 4, which is the interviews that I did. You're gonna want to check those out. And also, have you watched Bellator? Are you any of you watch UFC fights?
That got me into it a little bit. Yeah, I'll put them on a weekend night.
Bellator did not do an advertisement. I know this is kind of sounding like an advertisement for them. I enjoy the fuck out of Bellator. One, and I know that like Barstool has a close relationship with the UFC in a lot of regards. I like the fact that they're on Showtime and you can pay $5 a month to watch the fights. Because I mean, you watch a UFC fight every time it's on pay-per-view, you're dropping like $150 a month on UFC fights. That's expensive as shit.
That definitely adds up. And
then you got to go to the bar, or you can go to a bar and you're going to be around all kinds of dude wearing grunt style and affliction shirts. I don't want to deal with that shit.
A 23-year-old Kate.
You know what? I wish we could meet 23-year-old Kate. She's probably
I don't. Kate has done, and by the way, huge credit to Kate. Not late on vacation. When you're on beach time, it's unbelievable. Well done.
Thank you. Well, it's because I haven't left the house really all week, so I'm right here. I was actually sitting here waiting for you guys. I was like,
excited to talk to somebody.
Yeah, people, please. I'm like texting my cousins. I'm like, you guys want to come over? They're like, we're out at the beach bar. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, ZBT's coming up, so I'm good. I'll see the guys.
There's a lot of pain in that little cry there. Here's the interview.
Round 1, fight.
All right, now on Zero Block 30, I'm privileged to have the first woman to ever step foot in the octagon in the UFC, Liz Carmouche. Liz, I've been watching you fight for years, and I remember when you stepped in the ring first with Ronda Rousey, I was like, she's going to get her. I know she is. This Marine is going to do it. And I just watched the fight again, just to refresh my memory. You were probably half an inch, maybe an inch away from really sinking in that rear naked choke, and it would have been curtains. You connect with that choke. Do you think it changes the course of UFC and women in the UFC?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. For so many different reasons. I just think that she was really good at publicity. Her relationship with Dana White helped accelerate just opening up the divisions and broadcasting women into mainstream media. And I don't know that I could have, not to say that she sold herself, but saw myself in that way. I could have done the same thing with media and done it as well as she did. I was certainly articulate and I did a really good job for what I did, but to lead that way, I don't think I would have been ready at that time.
And I looking back at your story, it's really remarkable because you joining in 2004 and then starting the fight game shortly thereafter, not too much long after, but to only be in a gym training to fight UFC style, mixed martial arts style, and going pro in 4 months is legitimately fucking insane. Did you, when your coaches brought up to you like, hey, we got to fight, even though you've been doing 4 months, were you so naive in the fight game that you didn't really know what you're getting yourself into, but had that Marine spirit about you?
That's exactly how I would describe it, actually. Yeah. You know, what kept happening is we were trying to book amateur fights because I was trying to, I mean, when I walked into the gym, I said like, hey, I realize I have no experience. I don't know what I'm doing. I have to start fresh. I have no anticipation or expectation that I'll be fighting in a few months. I know this takes years to go amateur and then years from there to go pro if I'm ever even privileged to do so. I just want to give it everything I have and see where that goes. But I was in there 6 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, and then doing workouts on Sunday. So I was committed to it, going Marine Corps style. And my hard-headedness, my coach was like, hey, you know what? We can't get you amateur fights. Everybody's turning you down. He's like, let's just go pro. Why not get paid? You're getting hit in the face. You're taking the risk anyway. Why not just get paid to do it? Yeah. Why not get paid to do it? That makes sense. Yeah.
It's just so insane that I mean, my older daughter, she just turned 16 yesterday. She started doing jujitsu when she was probably 10-ish. And I wanted her to get involved in some, like, even just white belt tournaments, some yellow belt tournaments if she got there. I wanted her to go, and they're like, oh, she's not going to do any type of tournaments for at least 6 months. And turn that around, and you're fighting professionally in 4 months. Going back, would you do it the same exact way, or would you take some time to like sharpen up your skills?
I go back and forth at this. At that time in that era, I feel like it was the right call. Just the amateur circuit, the experience and the training that the women get now to be able to have 9, 11 fights, 7 fights before they go pro, to get the experience as an amateur, that wasn't available for women at that time. For me to get that many fights under my belt to try and go into a professional career, it wasn't really available. So I had to make those mistakes as a professional before I could do it and hurt my record. So would I do it differently for that time? No. The biggest difference is I would have told my command to go screw themselves, and I really would have committed to finding a good gym and training before that, so that I could have maybe had that amateur experience before my real breakout happened in 2010.
And can you talk a little, because the Marine Corps now acts like they fully embrace combat sports. They want people involved in doing it. But then I was friends with George Lockhart, who you might know, that was on The Ultimate Fighter when it first came out. And we went to sergeant's course together, and he was talking about how he had so much problems with his command getting permission to fight, because they want you have 3 deployments to Iraq under your belt. They want you to be able to go on those deployments. And it's really kind of a strange thought that they don't want you to train to fight, even though that's what you're going to do, is going to fight. Did you have that same type of, I guess, stance from your command, that they didn't want you doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I had it on twofold. I had it because I was a woman and the combat MOSs weren't open up yet. Don't ask, don't tell was still invoked. And then the second thing with that is I was an electrician. Like, we spent a lot of money on you in school. We can't risk you getting hurt. So absolutely not. And some of the people I worked with were kind of pushing me into training MMA, not necessarily competing and fighting, but just training it. They're like, look, you're that crazy Marine that wants to have the highest PFT all the time, and you're always finding new ways to challenge yourself. Why don't you check out MMA? And as I started looking into it, I'm like, yeah, I want to try this out. So I was looking for a place where my command was like, no. So I was going to like an underground. Now I look back, I'm like, that was not a real gym. I was training at a super sketchy place. It's so embarrassing. Because I'm sparring against heavyweight guys. I mean, guys are like 256 punching me in the face.
Jesus.
And I was like a black eye and stuff. They're like, what happened? I'm like, I was drunk and I slipped in the pool. They're like, yeah, that seems real. I'm like, what?
See, it's so insane that you're doing something to better yourself career-wise, and you have to lie. So now you get alcohol cessation class. Like, Liz has got a fucking problem over here. She needs to go chill out a little bit. Was your first introduction to any types of mixed martial arts, did that come through the Marine Corps, or did you do that some as a child as well?
I did do different forms of karate as a child, but my attention span wasn't there. I wish it had, because I grew up in Okinawa of all places. Like, you want to talk about having an opportunity to try out. Like, when people think karate, like that's the starting point of it. But my ADHD self was like, no, today I want to do soccer. No, today I want to do football.
Yeah.
So I didn't commit to any of them, and just my attention span wasn't there. So it wasn't really until the Marine Corps, until I started getting into it. And it was BJ Penn's book. It was me reading the workouts, looking at the different stuff, reading wrestling books and jiu-jitsu books to try and figure out how to do the technique, and failing tremendously at it.
And I don't think people realize how influential BJ Penn has been to the MMA field itself. Like, coming in, being a prodigy at such a young age, teaching and loving to teach. You also do some of that teaching. Do you find yourself ever slipping back into Marine Liz mode when you're teaching some certain ways to do it? Like, I know what a broken leg looks like. That is not fucking broken. Get up. We train till we die.
I wish I could say no, but it's so true. I felt like, especially when I first got out of the Marine Corps, I was first teaching kids. That was my first job out of the Marine Corps. Bill Crawford at San Diego Combat Academy gave me a job teaching the kids MMA. And I went full on drill instructor mode with them. Like, oh, okay, you guys want to down? Then everybody suffers. Push-ups. Okay, cool. Burpees. Right, hold this sit. So it was so, when I look back, I'm like, those poor children. I mean, they're all tough, and some of them are competing and they're badasses now, but man, I'm so sorry. And then the parents too, like, I'll get in that mode with adults now, where I'm like, why are you whining? All I asked you to do is 60 split lunges. I don't know what you're crying about. It could definitely be worse. He could kick you and then he could do it. So yeah, I definitely fall into that military and have to like dial it back and be like, okay, the drill instructor Liz needs to go to sleep and calm down.
But it's impossible really for the first little bit, especially when you first get out, to do that. You have one speed and it's absolutely full speed. I watched an interview that you did in 2014 with Fightland, and you were talking about how sometimes it's a struggle for someone like you who can be bigger and stronger for your weight class of getting somebody to fight you, even if the person's very skilled in jiu-jitsu and might have a shot at like tapping you out, doing a leg lock, doing something. You said, sometimes I don't care if I lose. I just want to hurt the other person and they might end up in the hospital. So they might not come. They might not want to fight me because of that reason. I was like, she's a fucking maniac. Do you look back and you still have that approach? Or are you, now that you're 11, 12 years into this, you have a more seasoned approach of how you're going up against your fight that takes place on Saturday?
Yeah, I do. I'd say it comes more in training than anything. And I certainly have a different approach when it comes into fights and being able to see it differently. But in training is when it hurt me the most, just because I'm like, yeah, he said that we have 20 seconds to complete. Let's go. Let's go 100 burpees as fast as you can. Like racing, like, why are you guys all tired? Like, let's keep going. Let's go. Why are you stopping? Everybody should have the same sense of urgency. And I would just watch as training partners would just kill their will and they would just fall to the wayside. And I'm like, why don't I have any more training partners? I don't understand. This is so weird. So that perspective started to change everything for me and understanding like, okay, I need to do some workouts. Like, it also helped that same person, Bill Crawford, he started doing my strength and conditioning separately from the guys, because we would start doing heavy days and I would max them out and keep going. He's like, all right, we're done. I'm like, but I can keep going. He's like, we're done for the day. And then started privately training me because it was breaking the will of other people. So I think I started to understand like there are certain workouts I need to do on my own because I can't do with friends and family. I can't do with training partners and think that I can keep them. And then wanting to push as hard as I could and seeing longevity wise too, is that other training partners that I started out with, that they had the same will as I did and training the same way, going balls to the wall, breaking each other every chance that they had. They didn't last in the sport. And between seeing it relative to in the gym was just like hurting the will of the people around me and them not wanting to keep up. And then watching the people that had that same desire die off eventually, it put things in perspective. We're like, okay, I need to do things a little bit differently because those people aren't lasting all around me. And I'm the only one that's keeping up with this. So I've got to change something to keep my training partners and not break my toys.
And how do you your toys? I love that. How do you get to the spot where watching a lot of your fights, your cardio is always fantastic. How do you get to a place where you're in a good spot cardio wise, but where you have the will and the desire to keep pushing that further and further and further, where eventually you have guys like Magomedov who just feels like they never ever get tired. Where does that inner desire come from? And do you feel like the Marine Corps helped really push that and really sharpen that attitude that you have?
Yeah, I think that the Marine Corps helped me be able to find that self-discipline to achieve those things on my own. I mean, like, for example, as I was on the assault treadmill the other day, and I hate running.
Me too. Thank God you said that, because if you like running, we can't be friends. I have a promise to all of our Zero Block 30s listeners that I will never run again. That's a promise that I've made to them, and I intend on keeping it.
Yeah, I hated running before the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps didn't help it. All it did was guarantee that I ran twice a year. But yeah, so I'm not a runner, but on the assault treadmill, but seeing the numbers, I'm like looking and I'm like, I wonder how fast I can get that. Can I get that up to 26? Can I get that up to 28? And they're like, no, I wasn't dead at the end of that one. I can get it to go faster. And that's always what it is. I just find myself where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm not that tired. I could probably push a little bit harder or cool. Like I do, it's called in the pool burner rounds. So it's underwater fitness and you do it with weights and everything. And so you're for anywhere from 10 to 16 feet deep in the pool. So it's really you against yourself. If you gash yourself out, you still got to travel back up that 10 to 16 feet to get air. Right. And so there's always that element of like, I could potentially die.
You need to do an ORM report on that. That does not sound safe to me at all.
Don't worry, it's up the rings are there too. It's totally fine. And so it's finding things like that. I was always trying to push myself and do other things that make me uncomfortable. Like, hey, I really don't think I'd be good at this. Cool. then I need to be good at this. There's just something in the back of me that's always driving me to be the best version of myself. And the Marine Corps just helped figure out how to tie into that better.
And your fight on Friday that you have that's coming up on Friday on Showtime, what are you looking to do early? Are you looking to just dominate again? Because you seem like you don't like to do first round knockouts. You seem like you want people to be in pain for a little bit.
There's a part of me that's like, I want to chip away. I don't know that there's this twisted part of me that gets hit with their hardest punch and look at them and go, yeah, it didn't do anything. What else do you have? And then just emotionally break them down. Okay, I'll be like, now I'm going to hit you with 80%. Now I'm going to hit you with 90%. But I'm not even going to have to take it to 100 because I already broke your will the first round when you gave me everything you have, and then it stopped me. So there is that sick, twisted part of me, but I also want to go in there and I just want to dominate her. I just want to show her like, you're not going to get anything off from beginning to end. And I want to finish her hard, and I want to make a big statement with Conor on Friday.
And when you have these type of fights, there's certain, like watching Conor McGregor's last fight where his lead leg was just absolutely wrecked. How do you train for something like that, where you're getting kicked in the calf, where you're doing, like, for Marine Corps martial arts purposes, body hardening? How do you get to the spot where you're training? Because so many more fighters are doing that. How do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, it was just funny. Just the other day, I was training with my partner Enrique, and when I find a spot where I punch you or I kick you, if I see like a little bit of weakness, I hit the exact same spot. And so I was just drilling in. He finally was like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore." And all the coaches like, "What do you mean you can't do this anymore?" And he's like, "No, nobody in a fight is going to kick me that often over and over the same exact spot and punch me in the same exact spot in the liver and just keep dropping it over and over and over." I'm like, "You don't know that. You get your back against the wall, that could happen." And it's just that sick part of me where I like watches, they're hitting the same spot too. Like we're doing a drill and they're hitting me. And it's like, yeah, it hurts, but I see you breaking before I do. And I think for me, that's always that driving point is like, okay, I'm going to wait till you break. I'm not going to bitch out. You break before I break.
And that's such a twisted Marine Corps leadership thing too. Like I always tell people, I hated running, but if I was your staff NCO and I saw you running and you look like you were in pain, I could go all day. I hated it, but any look of pain on your face is such an unbelievable satisfaction to me. And it's nice to see that it finally transfers over to a civilian job. Finally. And we have been doing this podcast for 5 fucking years and we finally found the transfer.
There you go. That personal training, like teaching a client and watching the will, that's what it is when you watch them suffer.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Liz. Good luck in your fight. We'll hope to have you back again. And if I ever come out to San Diego area, I would love to learn some stuff from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Please come through. I'm at San Diego Combat Academy. You're more than welcome.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Round 2, fight.
Now I'm privileged to have on Zero Blog 30, Tim Johnson. Tim, you are a National Guard member. I always am surprised when people are doing well in life and they're like, you know what? I need to go fuck around and get muddy again and go back to my roots and go back in. You're fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world and you re-enlisted in November of 2020. What the fuck were you thinking, dude?
Well, at the time I was talking to a buddy of mine, I got 10 years in and I took some, then I didn't re-enlist. I'm like, all right, I'm going to focus on fighting. And I always plan to go back, get my 20, get my other 10 years in. And talking to a recruiter buddy of mine, and he was like, hey, I know you're thinking about getting back in pretty soon. At some point, you might want to think about doing it because how long you been out? I'm like, oh, like 4.5 years. He's like, yeah, you probably want to rejoin. Otherwise, you got to go back to basic training. I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to basic training. So I guess, screw it. I guess I'll just sign that dotted line again.
No, man, going from what you've been doing, back to fucking basic training would be the absolute worst. I wanted to ask you, because you're fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world, the interim heavyweight championship on Friday night on Showtime, which is a huge deal. But I always wonder when guys like you, when you go into the ring against somebody who looks like Chet Congo, are you like, this guy, and not just him, like I went back and watched a lot of your fights. You fought some absolute monsters. How do you calm your nerves looking across? Are you like, I'm a monster too? I'm a monster too. How do you get your brain in the right spot to do this type of thing?
Yeah, I definitely don't look down at my love handles and say I'm a monster too. But no, it's just I think the only time that really happened to me where it was kind of like the size of the guy intimidated me was when I was on the regional level. His name's Chaps. He's been around forever. He's got
I
like over
just
100
watched that
fights in.
fight. That dude is
Yeah,
like a silverback gorilla.
yeah, he's just a jacked monster. And I'm like, oh man, I got to go fight that. But a lot of practice. I practice, a lot. I've trained with a lot of guys that are all big, muscly, strong. And yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. You do it enough, you just kind of everyone's human. There's no one's the Terminator.
And I was watching one of your most recent fights where you've been kind of on a little bit of a losing streak and you needed a bounce back win in a big way. And you got that with the knockout. And in your post fight interview that you had, you said, I think everybody here was expecting me to get my behind whoop, and I might have been too. I was like, that is some military level self-deprecation that you don't see in a lot of spots. But I think it's beautiful. And now bouncing back to that, where you needed a huge win, going to fight for the championship of the world. How did you get into the mental space where you move past those losses to now you're on a championship run?
Well, first of all, I'll say I got yelled at by my now wife about that because she's like, I don't think anyone caught your wink when you said that. When I was talking to John, I was like, yeah, I think I was too, and I kind of gave him a little wink. And so like, some people were bringing it up. They're like, oh, you thought you were gonna get your ass kicked? I'm like, well, my confidence wasn't very high, but if I was thinking I was gonna get my ass kicked, I really shouldn't have been in that cage. But just as I was saying, it's just going from. If I'd have lost that fight, I'd probably been on the regional level, or I probably would have got dropped by Bellator and moved back on the regional level. At that point, I'm 35. I'm back on the regional. You can't make a living on the regional level, especially at that age. And I probably would have been done fighting. And MMA or fight game in general is a weird monster, man. It's all about runs. And UFC, I was kind of a hot and cold fighter. I had some good fights, I had some bad fights, beat some really good guys, lost to some not so good guys. And yeah, it's just, I think once you get your confidence going, you got to kind of get that little attitude again that you're kind of untouchable, which you need a little bit. Like, I'm a realist. I don't like getting my head too big, but you kind of need a little bit of that too.
And people are very familiar with football and how you go in, like a coach will go in and they'll watch film and you can see if a wide receiver responds well to bump and run or anything like that. Can you kind of explain what it's like when you're breaking down footage of a fighter that you're going to fight?
Biggest thing is looking for tendencies. Like if we go to baseball, you're gonna be looking for any tips or tails that a pitcher is gonna do. Maybe he turns his glove this way before he turns, throws a fastball or two seam or a curveball or something like that. And it's kind of the same thing. You watch enough film on people, you can see some tendencies that you can maybe capitalize on. And including me, I watch my fights and look at the tendencies, the things I do that I need to improve on. Because it's ever evolving. You can't go out there with the same game plan every time, because that people will pick up on it pretty fast.
And how hard is that to adjust in the moment and remember your training? Because you have a packed out crowd now. Bellator will have a packed out crowd on Friday night when you're fighting, and you have to kind of calm your nerves and remember your training. How difficult is it still for you, even as a veteran in the game, to kind of calm your nerves and remember, I've got to do what I've been training to do for the last couple of months here?
Yeah, the biggest part for me, I think most fighters might be on the same page as I am. I think the biggest anxiety that I get or the nerves is when I'm like in the back, getting my hands taped. It's like, oh crap, it's here. All right,
I'm gonna be sore tomorrow, no matter what.
There's he weighed in, I weighed in, he didn't back out. All right, it's gonna happen. But after that, it's kind of business as usual. It's just a sport, just competition, and it's not, it is a dangerous sport, I suppose, but it's not life and death. There's many worse things that you could be doing.
Yeah, and some of those things that you do whenever you're back on drill. How do you go from like a pro fighter back into a National Guard unit? What are those weekends like for you now?
sometimes it's I actually rejoined my old unit, Minnesota. So I live in Vegas, so I fly back and forth
Oh,
for
shit.
for about 1 month. But it's a unit I know. It was easier to just get in that way. I plan once I'm done fighting, I plan on moving back to Minnesota, and sometimes it's actually harder to switch units. Well, transfer units, especially interstate and stuff. I just I'll just fly back until I'm done fighting. You know, and coming back in, I'm gonna probably watch what I say, but I mean, it's a little, the military is a little different now than when I was at 10 years ago.
Yeah, I bet.
It's definitely changed a bit. Just overall, but I still got a bunch of guys that I was in, my leadership's supportive of me. I was actually in Minneapolis for 6 weeks, 7 weeks for the Chauvin trial. We got called up there, so I was there till mid-April, like March 4th to like April 15th or something. But they knew I had a fight coming up, so they actually allowed me. They released me probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks earlier than the whole unit, so I could get back and start training.
Yeah, and that's surprising because you're the type of dude that you'd want at a crowd control situation. Be like, that's a big motherfucker right there. You don't want to mess with that dude. I think all of our Army listeners would be upset if I didn't ask you, what's your APFT score?
My APFT score, my last one I got about a 248 on.
Okay, so whenever you go and people know you're a professional athlete, they're like, you didn't get a 300. What are you sandbagging here? What's going on?
I'm 260 pounds and my legs are about this long. I'm not a long distance runner.
Is that the hardest part for you, the 2 miles?
Yeah, I hate running. Like, I absolutely despise long distance running. I'm not made for it. I'm definitely a natural sprinter.
See, I think that's what people need to hear. They need to hear professional athlete. He gets paid to be in shape, still hates running. I'm normal. I'm a normal person. I hate this too.
Yeah, I haven't taken the new one yet, so I'm kind of curious what I'm going to score out on that.
Yeah, it seems pretty tough. I mean, the things that they're doing, but it might be, I think, for guys that are built like you. Like, I looked around whenever I was in the Marine Corps. Guys like me, when I was skinny. I'm not super skinny now, but I was skinny, about 160. So pull-ups were nothing for me.
Yep.
Running was nothing for me. But then I would do, when we switched to like a combat style fitness test where you're doing ammo can runs and lifting your buddy and running him across an actual, what you would actually do in combat. Nobody wants to be in a unit with a bunch of 155, 150 pound dudes running through. You want somebody that can carry you out if you need to. Do you find that the training that you do for MMA helps with the new style of APFT?
Yeah, absolutely. My strength and conditioning is it's more functional movement type stuff is what my strength and conditioning coach says I've been doing the last couple of years. It's not like, let's go see how much I can bench press or any of that. I don't think I've bench pressed in years. And like Olympic style lifts, we do a couple, just to keep the explosiveness up, like power cleans and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, all my strength and conditioning is like the drag, pull, carry type stuff, throwing the ball, the medicine balls. It's kind of CrossFit-y without, CrossFit.
Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And I think another aspect that would help you, I would imagine, is after going to boot camp and graduating that and being around people who scream at you all the time. I always tell people here, one of the things that they ask me about Barstool is, what's it like working for Dave Portnoy whenever he goes on like a tangent or he yells at you, belittles you a little bit. I'm like, dude, I was in the Marine Corps for fucking a decade. Like, that shit doesn't faze me at all. Did that kind of come into your brain when you're dealing with some of the pre-fight trash talk where it's really hard to get under your skin?
I've luckily had all my opponents have been good sports and haven't had any of the trash talk. I remember, all my friends in like 2015, 2016, when trash talking was really starting to, that's how people were getting fights and getting noticed. They're like, hey man, you need to start throwing out some tweets and all that. Like, one, that's not me. Two, everyone knows that's not me. And three, my bullshit would have been called on the internet instantly, like, hey, you're faking it. I'm like, yeah, I'm faking it. For the most part, all my opponents have been good sports, and I like fighting someone who is a good guy rather than a jackass. Honestly, this is just a competition, and I've seen it through my whole career. Like, guys in the back getting warmed up, getting angry, getting pissed, like, oh man, I want to go kill this guy. I'm like, why? What? You're in this for the wrong reasons. There's nothing but respect from the guy across from you. I mean, it's just a competition. Quit taking it so serious.
And I think that that's a hard concept for people, like even for people like me that have done competitions and things like that. You don't get punched in the face in a lot of other sports. So when you're getting punched in the face repeatedly for 15, maybe 25 minutes for you on Friday night, and you're punching him in the face too, then you guys always stand up and hug. I'm like, I don't want to fucking hug somebody that just punched me in the face. Is it almost counterintuitive? How long does it take for that fighter instinct to kind of go away after that final bell rings?
It's pretty much instant. I mean, everyone hugs at the end because they're like, oh God, it's over.
It's over.
Like, we can go back and, get some stitches and drink a beer.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most for your fight on Friday night, and how do you see that going?
Besides the beer afterwards?
Besides the beer, because that's a guarantee, right? The beer is a guarantee.
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably looking forward to, maybe showing off. Hopefully things line up all right. I can show off a couple new tricks I've been working on.
Okay, love to see that. Well, we'll see if you can do that Friday night on Showtime, big time fight. We just had on Liz Carmouche as well, and she's fighting too. What a great card that's going to be on Friday. I can't wait to watch it. Tim, good luck to you, and hopefully next time we talk to you, you're the reigning heavyweight champion of the world. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Tim. Thanks, man.
Final round. Fight.
That was a cry for help, is what it was.
Oh no, I'm turning red.
We're back 25 minutes later, and Kate is still very, very red. Let's move on to round number 5, where I'm going to give the opportunity, because I have not allowed them to prep at all.
No.
What I need you guys to do, take a little step back, no Googling. I can see you now, you can't Google. So what we're going to do is the definitive top 10 military movies of all time. You guys are going to do a snake draft back and forth, and then whatever the list is, you both have to defend it on social media to the death. Like, where people that don't listen to the pod, they don't know that you're doing this off the top of the head, and they don't know it's a combined list. It's a ZBT top 10 movie list of all time. We're going to start out. We'll start at number 10. Number 10 movie of all time, military movie of all time. Catherine, we're going to start with you. You get the first pick, the number 10 pick. What are you going to pick?
The number 10 pick. Ooh. What's that one with Goldie Hawn?
Private Benjamin?
Private Benjamin. When I was
Right.
going to boot camp, my mom was like, you got to watch Private Benjamin. And I did. And I was like, this is what it's going to be. And it wasn't.
Okay. Private Benjamin.
Because
Got it.
it's a great woman in the military. We don't get a lot of those. She got great hair. Number 10.
All right. I'm just trying to better understand this, Chaps. Please help me out. Are we trying to predict what the top 10 most successful?
No, he's trying to put us on the spot, so we pick bad ones, so we get shit on online for the list.
Yes,
Cons.
that's exactly.
He's
that's
shitting
exactly.
on us. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. My choice is In the Army Now with Pauly Shore.
Oh, good pick. That one actually is good. And I'm a huge Pauly Shore guy, by the way. Of all the movies that I watched over and over again, Son-in-Law is so high
that's
up
great.
there.
That's great.
In the Army Now. All right. Number 8, Kate.
Number 8, I'm gonna go with what's the one with Bill Murray and they're
Stripes.
just goofing.
Right.
Stripes.
And they're
Yeah.
just goofing.
Yeah.
I also think that we should have how Lights Camera Barstool has their movies.net. We should do that where we just write the blurbs about it, and that would be Stripes. The movie where Bill Murray is just goofing and he's in the Army.
Yeah.
Honestly, you see that. That's what you watch. If you're going through Netflix, you see Bill Murray standing there out in formation, and the title is just Bill Murray's in the Army. He's just goofing.
I'm watching the shit out of that. I'm watching the shit out of it. And there were
You're
MPs.
drunk or you've had some 3-chi, you're all in on that.
Yeah, take me to a recruiter right now. I was an MP. They were MPs. There was lady MPs. They were getting it on 23-year-old Kate. Yeah. Okay. Stripes.
I don't know if people know how to get 3Chi. And if you don't know how, all you have to do is go to 3chi.com. You're going to go there, enter the promo code ZBT2021 to receive 5% off on your first checkout. They have Delta H THC products. All products are formulated by a biochemist and made in the USA with USA grown hemp. 3Chi's Delta 8 is federally legal version of THC and it's the more functional alternative to marijuana. It gives you the amazing buds, the giggles, and a great body feel with a clearer head and less anxiety. In fact, I had to remind Catherine earlier this week that maybe she's had trouble sleeping, her back was hurting. I was like,
Yeah.
you need to take a 3Chi gummy and just pass the fuck out.
Truth. True.
I don't know if what Delta 8 does to breast milk. So if you are breastfeeding while you're listening to the pod, I don't know. I have to ask your doctor.
Yeah, he's already had a couple pina coladas through me, so
Yeah, he's fine.
it's
He's fine.
He's
But you got to be
fine.
21 to purchase. And remember, it's not CBD, it's psychoactive. So if you're actively in the military, not smart because you will piss hot, don't do it. But if you're out and you're wanting to just have a great time, go to 3chi.com. They're not going to give you a blowjob, but they will give you a little bit of a vape, a tincture, gummies, Rice Krispie treats, brownies, cookies, all kinds of stuff. 3chi.com, the number 3chi.com. Use the promo code ZBT2021. Number 7 movie. So far, let's do a recap. Number 10, Private Benjamin. Number 9, In the Army Now. Number 8, Stripes. Number 7, Cons. What do we got?
I still don't get this. Like, I'm supposed to pick bad ones, but I
God
want
damn
to
it,
pick good
Cons.
ones.
Every
No,
time we
you're
do
not
one of
supposed to
these.
pick. You're supposed to try, and people will hate
try.
whatever you
don't
pick.
have to do it goofy. Legitimately movies that are in your head.
Oh,
Pick it.
all right. We Were Soldiers.
Okay. Great pick. Number
good
7.
one.
That is my real life number 1 overall military movie.
Yeah. For me, I'm going Stop Loss, a Channing Tatum, Ryan Phillippe.
Oh, love that. Love
Yeah.
that. Love
I
that.
don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, it's bad, but it's so bad it's good, and it brings attention to the important stop loss.
Yeah. What about the one? This isn't my choice,
Okay.
but what about the one? And actually, I'll wait till the end to say this one. So maybe because it could be one of your choices. So I don't want to steal that from you. But next up, I am going to go with Black Hawk Down.
Ooh, okay. Catherine?
Forrest Gump. Some people would say it's a life journey movie. I say it's a military movie.
I would agree
Because-
with that.
Thank you. Hmm.
So that's number 4, Forrest Gump. Kate, overall favorite scene from Forrest Gump?
Ooh, favorite scene from Forrest Gump? When he's standing on the boat waving, obviously. Yes, that's a
Oh, yeah.
huge favorite. That means a lot to me, that scene.
Lieutenant Dan.
My mom and I have been standing on the end of our deck doing that to boats the whole week. We can't stop. So,
It's
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan.
yeah.
I love it when when Forrest is just standing there and it's so sad, but it's just like perfect acting from Tom Hanks. And he's like, is he smart?
Yeah.
So
Is he
good.
Like me.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. I like when he opens the mailbox and he said Lieutenant Dan invested them in some fruit company, so they didn't have to worry about money no more. So, that's good because one less thing.
You know how
Yeah.
long I searched for his lawnmower on Facebook Marketplace, the snapper that he mows the field.
Probably longer than
field
you'd
with?
like to admit.
Oh, I bet.
Hours, dude. I found
bet.
one outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the person wanted like $800. I talked him down to like $550 and told my wife, I gotta go to Albuquerque. She's like, for work? And I was like, no. I found a guy that's selling the snapper lawnmower from Forrest Gump. And she's like, you're absolutely not driving that far for a fucking broken lawnmower. I was
Yeah.
like, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you
fair
for
enough.
bringing me back to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So number 4 was Forrest Gump. Number 3.
I already said Black Hawk Down. So, this is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh no.
Come
Crap.
on, Cons. You're a
Somebody better
self-reported
ship me a
guy.
movie right now.
Yeah, you better ship me a movie.
Patton.
Okay. Patton. All right. Patton is
Can
number
we
3.
specify that was Kansas pick and not mine?
No. You love that movie. You're a big Patton lady. All right. Number 2.
Patting
Okay.
that ass if I was 23.
Patton that ass, the porn version, which is a good version as well.
Mhm.
What do you got for number 2, Kate?
What's the one that you're always like, I don't give a damn if you did order the
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
done. And number one overall military movie from ZBT. What do we got?
Saving Private Ryan.
I knew that was going to be a list. I think people are going to think this is a prepared list, except for Private Benjamin and Stop Loss.
People
Have
hate
you?
stop loss
Wait,
so
so hold
much.
on. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen the one with Zac Efron, Lucky Ones, where he goes home and he basically falls in love with his buddy's girlfriend or wife? I forget which.
Well, I'm so upset. I
have
forgot
not.
about the Hillary Duff ROTC movie.
Oh yes,
Cadet Kelly.
Cadet Kelly.
Oh God.
We also
Yeah,
didn't
Cadet-
mention Major Payne, which is kind of a miss by
Ooh,
us.
Yeah.
That was a big miss. We also didn't mention Rules of Engagement, which is a good one. And we didn't get what was the I just had on Tears of the Sun.
Tears of the Sun, sure. We also didn't mention Platoon. Well, you could make an argument that Nicolas Cage, The Rock. You could make an argument The Rock is a narrative about what happens when veterans are not taken care of after leaving the
Maybe
military.
Rock,
they
the
become
movie.
wrestling
Yeah.
stars.
I kept
No.
thinking of that Rock. I was like, has he?
Yeah.
It's
No.
surprising that The Rock hasn't been in any real military movies,
That's
right?
true.
He was in G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra.
Oh,
Right. So, like I said, it's
second one.
surprising he hasn't been in any
Yeah.
real military movies.
Sorry.
If you could make The Rock play any historical figure, who is it?
wow. Clearly Audie Murphy, because they're so similar.
Yeah,
Betsy Ross.
Audie Murphy's like 5'6", right?
Yeah.
Betsy Ross.
Gosh.
The Rock as alternative history, almost like Abraham Lincoln and vampires, would be amazing.
Mhm.
Where you could just put him in
Mhm.
places that he clearly does not belong. Like have The Rock remake Patton,
Yeah. That would
or
work.
Jack Black remake Patton.
Yeah. I like that one better. I prefer to see that one. Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to save rounds and alibis, which today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Roman. Roman have the best swipes in the business. They are a clinically proven way to make you last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and fast acting, and don't require a prescription. Let me say this: if you combined 3 Chi and Roman swipes, you will never come. Never. Like you're just going to be fucking and fucking and fucking and fucking all day long. That's what some people want to do. If you want to do that, combine them. Roman swipes, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Roman continue swipes in a discreet, unmarked package, easy to swipe on. They're small enough to hide in your wallet or wherever you might need it. They're easy to use. Just take that thing out, swipe it straight on the old flaps or on your member, let it dry out, and you're good to go. That's all you need. Go to getroman.com/0. You get your first month for free. Our first month for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan, which is basically free.
Basically free.
Make sure. Quick question for you, Cons. When you're trying not to come, what do you say in your head? Well, wait.
Cargo shorts, cargo shorts, cargo shorts.
Oh. 9-inch inseam. I don't know.
All right, let's move on to save rounds and alibis. Nick, we'll start with you. What do you got, pal?
Went to one of the perks of living in New Jersey are the diners. So I went back to the diner for the first time.
3 Jersey heads now.
Quarantine.
Oh yeah.
And it was just great. It's just absolutely fantastic. There's nothing better than a Jersey diner.
Jersey diner
my
fries
opinion.
are the best damn fries.
They
Yes.
never short you on them, and they always deliver.
They have
No,
nice
and
little
the other thing-
crispiness on the edge of them. Oh.
Right.
Despite the fact that every diner has a magnificent and large menu, you don't really need to look at it. You go into a diner knowing what you want. You can get it at any diner.
Or you can get whatever you
true.
want. You know,
Also,
Also,
pick it
the
up.
rotating cake display. Forget it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
love it.
But yeah,
Please.
so that's mine. I went to a Jersey diner. Very
Wait,
nice.
which diner?
Very
Which one did you go to?
Manny's. It's in it's in Clark, by like what the Westfield type area. So it's
Okay.
around that area.
I've only
but-
only diner I've been to in Clark's the White Diamond.
yeah,
Mm.
White Diamond's there. White Diamond's good too.
Mhm.
But Manny's is the go-to, and it was a family affair, and everyone
Love it.
ate well. Happy to be back.
Awesome.
Easy.
Very
than getting
relatable
to the
content
beach.
for a nationwide podcast. Love that.
I
All
know.
right.
We can all relate to getting back out there. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
How that feels.
Cons, you're up next. What do you got?
Yeah, two things. Number one, was in the news this week about how Defense Secretary Austin is supporting that they're going to take sexual assault cases out of the military chain of command's hands and into independent prosecutors' hands. And I think that's great because we've seen.
Finally.
Yeah.
Did you see what the order number actually was for that?
No.
Don't tell me.
Austin 316 is what it actually was.
I love it.
Oh,
I
okay.
love it. I love it. And then lastly, I have 2 episodes left of Generation Kill. Should I save all my thoughts to like complete it, or do you want to hear some thoughts that I have right now?
Let's save it because I want to do a rewatch and we'll talk about it in a little bit as well.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Save it because I want to go get an ice cream cone.
There you go. Kate, what do you got?
Nothing, just small thing. Families at all different houses around here. It's like an extended family vacation. And so family members, friends come through, blah, blah, blah. And my uncle's Marine buddy, and just no matter the age difference, what war they're in, whatever, it's always really fun to see another Marine. And you just like, I don't know, there's just something really special about it, and just always something to talk about and something fun to do. And I don't know, it's just a special thing. That's all.
That is nice.
Well
done, Kate.
Is nice.
Wait,
yeah.
What kind of ice cream are you going to get?
Chocolate. You know what I do every year?
Tell me.
I get the it's Marita's in Seattle City, chocolate peanut butter. They load theirs with peanut butter. I always get 3 scoops. By the time I'm a block away, I have the diarrhea waddles. I do it every year.
Yeah.
Eat ice cream till you get the goosebumps, I say.
Love
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, McCartney took a shit in the toilet and didn't flush today that would have rivaled any grown man who just had eaten an entire box
Hell
of
yeah.
Denari's.
Oh, little
I had-
kids are
I had to go in there. I was
shocking.
like, McCartney, listen to me. And I want you to look me directly in the face. If you leave something like that in the toilet upstairs again, every day for a month, you're going to be picking up dog poop every day. And McCartney was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm tired of seeing your enormous ass shits in the bathroom. I don't know what it is about 8-year-olds across the spectrum. They all do it. They love to watch their work, just sit there. And I have to admit, it's like an artist, but enough is enough, man. It's just my go-to ice cream. I don't know if you've been to a Sonic recently, but if
Not
you
recently.
haven't had, they have like these cheesecake, whatever the fuck, kind of like a Blizzard, I guess, from Dairy Queen cheesecake one. I add in Reese's peanut butter cups and chocolate and cookie dough. Whew. Both those things are just unbelievable together.
Sounds delicious.
It is delicious. Other than that, I don't have anything else. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Make sure you go get the new Zero Block 30 merch and all that stuff. Until
4th
then,
of July, it's gonna look good.
it is. Sound the retreat.